just a number. It's not personal to us. It's not personal. Not personal in terms of when if something bad happens, if we sin or anything like that happens, we don't take it personally. We say, Allah Ghafoor Rahim, don't worry. That's no big deal. Allah will get rid of it for me. It's no biggie. It's just me, no worries. Let it pass. And then when there's opportunity to do good, what do we start to think? No, maybe not this. No, maybe not that. Maybe I'll save it for later. That person doesn't really need it, etc. All the aqabat, all the excuses and all the issues that we put in front of us, so that we don't do good, because it's not personal. It's not personal. It's like this: one of your good friends messages you, no one rings anyone anymore, says, I need help. Someone you really, really like says, I need help. Can you help me? Whatever, my car's broken down. Can you pick me up from wherever? Yeah, you'll drop whatever you're doing. Leave whoever you're with, and you'll go there. And if someone you don't really know that well says to you, help me out. Oh, sorry, I'm a bit far. I'm a bit busy. I'm with someone. I've got another appointment. Can't do it. So, وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثْلُ الْأَعْلَى. Imagine that's with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're just a number. You treat yourself as a number. It's not Allah treating you as a number. He's al-Wadud subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's wajib ala Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's an obligation upon Allah to love you. He's al-Wadud subhanahu wa ta'ala, which means the loving. But I treat myself as a number. How's that going to be with Allah? Just general population. Whereas the khawas, the elect of Allah Azza wa Jal, He loves to hear their voice, subhanahu wa ta'ala. The hadith says that. The hadith says He loves to hear these people's voices. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? The creator of all things in existence and the controller of all things in existence, loves to hear the voice of those people that are close to Him, that have a one-on-one special relationship with Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if we don't set those goals and we don't try and achieve those goals, it's just going to be the same as it's been. And then we say, what's this Islam? What's this? Am I ready to live for Islam? In other words, for Allah? And if I'm not feeling it, why should I live for it? Before, don't worry, leave it to Allah. Am I willing to die for Allah? If I'm not getting any benefit spiritually, I'm just up, down, up, down. They say ada or ibadah. Ada is just a habit, and ibadah is worship. So if we don't set those goals and we don't set them high, then it's never going to happen. Like the person who never asks for Firdaus al-A'la. Person who never asks for the highest of Jannah, they'll never get it. No, they didn't ask for it. But the person who asks for it, they're in with a chance. Bi rahmatillah azza wa jal. Taysir min Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the mercy of Allah and through the ease that Allah azza wa jal grants His servants. So it's got to be there for us if we really want it. Otherwise we'll just be general. And then don't complain. If a person is just in the general group, awam, just leave them there. But it takes effort, and it takes striving, it takes commitment, and it takes sacrifice to get from the general to the specific, or to the elect, if you like. Alright, so that was the basis of what we said last time. So, alhamdulillah, one person wrote down their goals, spiritual goals. So try for next week. If I remember, I'll ask you next week, inshallah. If I don't, remind me. Write down your spiritual goals. And like I said, don't write them on your phone. Because the phone is just LCD, it's not real. It's just an illusion. Write it down on a piece of paper or on a book. Stick it somewhere where you can see it regularly to see if you're going towards that goal. If you're not going towards it, then you're not going to attain it. But if you're going towards it, inshallah, rahmatullah subhanahu wa ta'ala wasi'ah. So any questions about any of those things? All good? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, hamdan yuwafi ni'amahu wa yukafi'u mazida wa salatu wa salam ala khayl anam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. إننا نوينا نتعلم والتعليم والتذكر والتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والدعاء إلى الهدى والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسول الله ابتغاء مرضات الله وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى. Praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Praise that's worthy of a beneficent bestower of bounties and favours. And we ask our Lord Most High to send copious, unlimited and eternal blessings and salutations upon our beloved Prophet Sayyiduna Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. And we acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we teach and learn, and we pay our respects to the elders past and present. So we'll continue inshallah azza wa jal with the ultimate chapter of the Book of Assistance of Imam al-Haddad's Book of Assistance in the Khatima fi wasaya wa ilahiyya. So these are what Imam Haddad calls the lordly counsels, if you like, the counsels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how an individual bi'idhnillah who's gone through the initial stages of the first books of the Book of Assistance, how an individual can bi'idhnillah azza wa jal, by the will of Allah azza wa jal, tie in all the things they've learned in the previous, how many is like 29 chapters? 32? In the previous 32 chapters, in order to truly benefit, in order to truly be a different individual than they were. 32, and then the conclusion is 33. So like I said, the unique thing that Imam Haddad uses in this ultimate chapter is he doesn't just rely on the Quran and the Ahadith. He talks about as we said, the Kutub al-Samawiyya, the books that have been revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the different prophets. And so as we continue, this one's about Sayyidina Dawood alayhi salam, and he says, "Ya Dawood, i'mal bi'amal al-abrar." Which page is it? 130. He says, "O David, behave as do the righteous." So when we everyone see that 130? Can everyone see what that is? Right. So he says, "Behave as do the righteous." And so when we look at the word abrar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He talks about the abrar of the certain people. It has two different connotations. Al-birr, ليس البر أن تولوا وجوهكم شطر المسجد الحرام. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about al-birr is all things that are good. So when we hear birr al-walidain, be good to your parents really. Do everything good that's possible to your parents. And then abrar are the people who do all the different righteous acts. They as much as possible do the khairat, and they stay as far away as possible from the sayyat. So they do everything that's good, everything that's in terms of the praying, the fasting, all those things that we know are wajib on us or fard on us, and also the other things, smiling in people's faces, imatat al-adha min al-tariq, all the different things, moving something that's harmful out of the path of other people, being kind to the orphans and the young people, having respect for the old people and those people who have status and who have levels with Allah Azza wa Jal. They're the types of things that all encompassed in birr. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in that verse, it's لَيْسَ الْبِرْ أَن تُوَلُّوا وَجْهَكُمْ شَطْرَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. It's not just to point your face to the mosque where the haram is, in other words, the Kaaba. That's not enough. That's not enough. And to look after the poor people, the impoverished people, and disenfranchised people, and the orphans, and all the other people that don't have the same level, that don't have the same benefits and advantages that an individual that lives in our society may or may not have. So they're the types of things that the abrar do. So he says, do with the deeds, do in accordance, or behave as the righteous behave, and the righteous isn't really the best word. So then he says, وَلَا تَبَسَّمْ فِي وَجْهِ الْفُجَّارِ. He says, smile at the depraved, but in the Arabic, he says, وَلَا تَبَسُّمْ. So do not smile. Either way can be, I suppose, depending on the circumstance, either one of them can be correct. But in the fujjar are those people that are openly, al-fajir, open fisq. Right? A person, fisq is like doing something that is drinking alcohol, it's not kufr, right? It's like nifaq in a way, if you want, to be hypocrite. So they might drink alcohol or do something like that, but not openly, right? That's a fasiq. And a fajir is someone who does that openly. وَنَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى. They openly go and drink and walk in the streets and do whatever. So any of the sins that a person may do, they do those things openly, not caring what anyone else says and not caring that they might be influencing other people to act in that same way. That's al-fajir. So don't smile in the face of the fajir, meaning that you're letting them know that what they're doing is wrong. By not smiling, not having an interaction with that individual, so to speak, letting them know that your action is unacceptable. If you want to make mistakes, that's normal. Everyone makes mistakes, but don't just do it out in public without hiding your sins, because that's part of taqwa. Part of taqwa is hiding one's sins and one's good deeds as well, but hiding one's sins from others and not talking about one's sin. Or yubahi, as some of the hadith say, that a person shows off that, oh yeah, I'm this much of a sinner, when that's how bad I used to be, now I'm a lot different. So, and the other one is smile if you want to, for the case of da'wah. So either of them could be correct in the particular situation. If someone's depraved, in other words, they're fajir, and isn't that the meaning of the word depraved? Like crazy but in the street, that's someone who's depraved. Whereas someone who's insane, they could just be insane somewhere else. But a deprivation means it's a common sort of a knowledge or a common understanding of that. He says, وَخَالِطْ أَوْدَاءِ مُخَالَطَةٌ وَخَالِفْ أَعْدَاءِ مُخَالَفَةٌ. He says, be altogether sincere with my friends and opposed to my enemies. Awda'i is those that love me, those that want to be with me. So it's not the love hub. It doesn't say ahabba'i. It says awda'i. So the difference between hub is that we talked about a couple of times recently. What do we define hub as? Can anyone remember? Love. When we love Allah, when we love something else, what did we say love was?
An emotional attachment.
Yep, based on what? So it's an emotional attachment based on?
If you're benefiting from another person,
Yep.
or if you desire to be like them.
Right, so the first one is that one's getting a benefit from someone. So your mum, looks after you, makes you food, washes your clothes, whatever. You love your mum, protects you, helps you, whatever. And the second one was?
The high levels of that thing. Like as in, if you love Allah, you look at Allah's high qualities.
Right? So because of something beautiful in the thing that's beloved. Right? So it's selfish. But al-wud is different. Al-wud has the connotation of what they say, istimrar, the continuation. Love, I can love and not love tomorrow. But al-wud is not like that. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to the husband and wife, جَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. Because love comes and goes. Right? It has the capacity to do that. Firstly, and think about it, if something that's beautiful stops being beautiful, are we going to continue to love it? Maybe or maybe not. Right? And if we're benefiting from something, and then all of a sudden the benefit from that thing ceases, are we going to continue to love it? Right? But al-wud is not like that. It's endearment. If you want to use the word in English, it's closer to endearment. That thing is beloved to that individual irrespective of beauty, outward beauty, and benefit. And that's the connotation between zawj wa zawja. Right?
Unconditional love.
If you want to say that way, everyone can describe. So that's the thing when it comes to the English, the translation from Arabic to English. Language also has a socio-political connotation. So especially from the English language, the meanings change over time. And even in the Arabic language, the meanings change over time. That's why people like Imam Shafi'i wanted to learn the proper Arabic. He went out and lived with the Bedouins, because they're still in the older Arabic, closer to the time of the Prophet of Allah, and all languages are like that. So if you find a word that is along those lines and it suits you and it gets the meaning out for you, go ahead, use that word. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, awda'i, those people that strive to be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do the halal, because some people might claim they love Allah, but they're not doing what's required. And they're not staying away from what a person is supposed to abstain from. They say, we love Allah. But the people who have wud for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right, they can't be described as people who have wud, who endear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if they're not doing the right and staying away from the wrong. So that's one of the difference. Does that make sense? So that's the kind of slight difference. And he says, وَخَالِفْ أَعْدَاءِ مُخَالَفَةً. And oppose, it's a bit more than that. He says, oppose my enemies. In the Arabic, it's a bit more than that. He says, oppose my enemies and opposition. So it's a double positive, if you like. He says, oppose my enemies and opposition. Make it clear to those people that outwardly are enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that not only do we oppose what you do, but we oppose what you're doing. right? So not only do we oppose that, that you, for example, wrote something bad about the Prophet of Allah ﷺ previously, but we oppose the fact that you haven't retracted that and changed your status on that and changed the way that you act towards the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or to the deen of Islam, or to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or to the book of Allah azza wa jal, or to any of what they call the sha'a'illah, any of the symbols of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And subhanAllah, like I just recently, actually when I was doing some research on the questions that were asked, some of these Christian people, like they talk about the verse about the Ainin Hamiyya, about the Shamas in Surah Al-Kahf. He says, yeah, وَتَغْرَبُوا فِي عَيْنَةٍ حَمِيَّةٍ. Right, so about the sun setting in a muddy pool, right? And one of these Christian guys, I don't know what these guys' deal are, seriously, it's bad news though. Like, they got no idea, and they're talking about the Quran and the tafsir, and how the fact that they said the mutaqaddimin, the people of the 1st and 2nd and 3rd century, the mufassirin, people like At-Tabari and that, they didn't really know what it meant, right? They didn't understand how the astronomy worked and how the sun worked. But later on, tafsir, of course, when they started to understand about it, and the Muslims really are the ones who either if they didn't start it, they hassanuha, they made it better and they improved it. And he's like, no, it's not good enough. It's not good enough that later on they understood. But we're talking 1,000 years ago when they were still, in a complete backward stage. And then they're saying that because the tafsir is incorrect, or the tafsir didn't define the way the sun moves today, that it's incorrect. But that's not how the Quran works. The Quran's an ayah. It's a proof. And as science gets better, they're going to discover what's in the Quran. Right? The Quran is not this thing that was just shut up, in other words, closed and put on the shelves. Oh, khalas, that's it. Akmaltu lakum dinakum. Deen's finished. Put it on. That's not how it is. The Quran is a living thing. Quran is a miracle. It's muhaymin. It's just all-encompassing. So how about this one? He says, وَلَا أَقْسِمُوا بِمَوَاقِعِ النُّجُومِ إِنَّهَا لَقَسَمٌ لَوْ تَعْلَمُونَ عَظِيمٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that I do not make an oath by the places or the positions of the star. إِنَّهُ, if you were to know, it is indeed an immense thing. And they didn't know what that meant. Until recently, or not that long ago, they realized that by the time the light of a star hits us, 8 minutes for the closest star and however many more for the others, right? It could even the star may not even be in existence, right? That's the science worked out that the stars that we see sometimes, at night, if you ever see the stars, if you ever look up into the sky, you'll see a star. And that star may have already exploded, but it's so far away that by the time that light from that star, which is another sun, right, takes to travel to our eyes, is millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of light years. So Allah said that in the Quran, but there's no way they could have known what it meant even 100 years ago. I don't know, is that when they worked that stuff out or before that?
Yeah, in the last century.
All right, so 100 years ago, no one knew. But that's the beauty of the Quran, that there's constant miracles coming out of the Quran. It's constant miracles. Constantly things are happening. So, just be careful when you hear stuff about, don't mess with the Quran. Whoever messes with the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises that when someone challenges the Quran, they'll find Islam. If someone sincerely challenges the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah says it in the Quran, sincerely says, Natsi, I'm going against the Quran, they'll be guided. But if they're just mucking around playing games, and then they're trying to play politics, trying to get money out of it, no, Allah won't guide them. But if someone seriously has a challenge, they'll get guided. All right? So, the enemies of Allah, and that means the outward enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have to know that we're against them. They have to know that. Otherwise, why? Why do you think we have to do that? Why do you think that when someone's outwardly an enemy of Allah, we have to let them know that we're opposed to them? Why do you reckon?
If we don't, it might make them think what they're doing is okay.
Yeah, that's one thing, definitely. So it is actually that, but it's a continuation of that. It's a rahmah, right? It's tough love, if you want to put it in a different way. Letting them know that, mate, what you're doing, all you're doing is hurting yourself. Yeah, like last time when they got all the books, they got all the Qur'ans, I think it was the American soldiers or something. They got all the Qur'ans like, yeah, and they burnt the Qur'an. We're like, yeah, dude, that's what we do. When the Qur'an's damaged or something wrong with it, we set it on fire. We've got no problems with that. And they were like, oh, well, what are you talking about? It's the book of Allah. And I heard the story, when the earthquake happened in Turkey like about 20 odd years ago, this is a story I heard. It's a story, could be true, maybe not. That the officers and the high-ranking generals and stuff, because they're mulhideen, what do they call it? Atheists, They were like, they're nationalists, they just believe in the republic. This is what I heard from people at the time. This is more than 20 years ago, probably 20. They were getting the Qur'an and they were standing on it and they were pouring alcohol on it and all this. And then not long after that, the earthquake happened. So, it's the book of Allah, it doesn't need us. That's one of the things that doesn't really need us. نحن أنزلناه ونحن له لحافظون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, we revealed it and we'll protect it. It doesn't need me and you. It doesn't need me and you. The sunnah needs me and you, because it's the life of the ruh, if you like, of the deen. It's the soul of Islam. But the Quran, it's Allah's. Like when Abraha, right, the king of Yemen, he came to destroy the Kaaba. He saw Abdul Muttalib, the grandfather of the Prophet of Allah sallam, and then they stole all his camels. And then Abdul Muttalib was the leader of Mecca. He said, give me back my camels. He came out and then Abraha got happy, like something's going to happen now. And then Abraha said to him, what? I thought you came to argue about the Kaaba and tell us not to invade the Kaaba. No, the Kaaba, it's Allah's Kaaba, He's the protector. Do whatever you want, just give me back my camels. And he got shocked. Abraha, right? Because he wanted to destroy the Kaaba, because he had built this massive church in Yemen so people can go worship there. He got shocked because when you don't, when someone's like that and you don't acknowledge them, what do? Someone's big notes themselves all the time. And like this is the thing, especially when dudes have got big hairy, big chest. There's no one hairy anymore. Big chests, and they've got big arms and they walk around. No one looks at them. They're like, wait a minute, I'm massive. How come no one's acknowledging me? And no offense to sisters with the puffy lips, and those things. And when they're around, then they're fluttering and carrying on. And we don't look at them, they're like, you know what I mean? They don't know what to do with themselves. That's why they're doing those things. I know they dress for each other, right? Yeah, or whatever. But that's what goes on, right? So when a person is big noting themselves and another individual doesn't recognize them, they become deflated. That's the Quran. The Quran doesn't need me and you. It doesn't need anyone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said it in the Quran that He'll protect it. Don't worry about it. Alright, and He says, يا داود كن للأرملة كن للأرملة واليتيم كالأب الشفيق أزيد في رزقك وأكفر عنك ذنبك. It says, O David, be as a compassionate father to widows and orphans, and I shall increase your provision and remit your sins. Right? That's birr. That's all the good stuff. Birr. Like people can't understand why why people do good things. I remember one brother, he married this white Australian sister that converted to Islam, and then we were invited to the wedding, and then my missus, and she had like this expensive piece of jewelry, put it in a box, gave it to us like $1,000 back 20 years ago. She got shocked. The lady like, what do you mean? I don't really know you that well. Why are you getting all this jewelry? Why are you getting like $1,000 chain? Because that's birr. That's to do good. And that's one thing that we, as Westerners, we don't have that, right? We've lost that making people feel good. They call it in Arabic jabr al-khatir, right? Making people feel good. And remember that time we talked about the Kaaba? To make a Muslim feel good, right, is better than the Kaaba. To feel good, that's all, just to make someone feel good. So I remember one time we were in Lebanon, one of the pious guys, he used to always get money instead of giving it to the people who you can see people who are poor there and people who are not. So he'd get like a $50 and he can hold on to this for me and then walk away. And they'd be like, wait a minute, what do you mean hold on to it for you? It doesn't make any sense. But they wouldn't feel bad because you say hold on to it. It's not saying take this, right? He doesn't give it to the beggars. He gives it to the people that like the one time there was an old lady. I think she was peeling carrots or something. Old lady, man, she was in her 80s. She's peeling carrots in the street. Obviously she's poor because an 80-year-old woman peeling carrots in the street is not doing it for fun, I wouldn't imagine. Right? So he told her, gave her, I don't know, $100 or whatever, and he goes, just hold on to this. And she knew, I think she was a salihah, you know, one of those ones. And she goes, you're a tasteful person, like you got to, because it makes them happy. Right? Hold on to it. What do you mean hold on to it? Like, and by the time they think of it, the guy's out of there. He's gone, he's disappeared, you know? So making a believer happy is one of the things that's beloved to Allah. And what did he say? أَنَا وَكَافِرُ الْيَتِيمِ كَهَاتَيْنِ فِي الْجَنَّةِ alayhi salatu wasalam. Whoever yakful, takes care of, what's the word? You don't mind going and see who that is, because it could be anyone. So yakfil is to be a guardian, I suppose, over the yatim. It's not quite being a guardian. It's to take charge of their affairs, like fund them, if you like. Fund. So whoever funds an orphan is like these two with me in Jannah. How easy, man, like $50 a month. Seriously. $50 a month, as if you can't afford it. How old are you, Amina?
12.
I reckon she can afford it. 12-year-old in Australia. So we should be having 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 if we can. $50 a month to be with a prophet like that in Jannah. That's cheap, if you ask me. That's a pretty good deal. So that's how we should be to these. That's part of the birr. And the armala, the widows, because who's going to look after it? And today's a bit different. We've got widows' pensions, but still, things are expensive. For widows got kids as well, right? Like, man, things are expensive. You want to buy a phone, you have to spend $1,000 to buy a phone. Cheapest phone, new phone. Everyone's got iPads and blah, blah, and blah, blah, and blah, blah. And when you go somewhere, it costs a fortune. And kids want to live like other kids. So if like he says, Ab Shafiq, like a father who is so gentle, compassionate, right? Compassion. And you're not doing it to pump up your own ego either, right? What did the Salihin used to say to each other? He says they used to give the money and they say to him, it's not from me, right? He says la minni, and he used to take it, and then so the pious people used to give the money. He said la minni, it's not from me, it's from Allah. And the other guy that used to take it, he say, I'm not taking it from you, I'm taking it from Allah. And that's the dealing that the righteous have. They're dealing, even though there's people in front of them, they're actually dealing with Allah. The mu'amala is with Allah. هل أدلكم على تجارة تنجيكم من عذاب أليم. It's a business, right? How come in this world when something's hardcore we have to, oh sorry man, I don't want to do this to you, but it's business. If you watch the movies, that's what they do if you're not in business yet. But wait a minute, our dealing with Allah Azza wa Jal, what is it? أقرضوا الله قرضا حسنا. Have a good deal with Allah, have a good loan. Loan Allah a good loan. So in reality, the dealing you have with Allah is not a normal dealing. It's business. Right? And in business, what can you do in business? If we look at the, so to speak, business that goes on in the world today, what do they do in the business they do today? What's in your food? What's in the food? Go downstairs to the supermarket. What's in that food? We don't know. Is it healthy? Probably not. Right? Why were they doing it? Because it's business. Right? Well, this is what they do. They invade a country. I'm not making this stuff up. I know it sounds outlandish and outrageous and almost preposterous, but it's not. It's real. They invade the country, they go take the oil, and when they do, they go and sell them because they burn everything, and they sell them pens, and the people that own the pen company are the politicians that invaded the country in the first place. Yeah, it's business. We can do anything for business. How come we can't do anything with our business with Allah? How come our business with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is like that? And you've probably never even seen them. When you go to real poor countries like India, like Pakistan, Bangladesh, places in Lebanon, some really, really poor countries, the kids, they sell you pens that don't work. I'm not making it up. They get the pens that don't work, the people chuck out, they go through the bins, they get them, and they sell them to you for 1 rupee or 2 rupees. They know it doesn't work, you know it doesn't work, they know it doesn't work, but it's better than begging. That's like our business with Allah. It's not even a business. We've never taken stock when A'udhu Billah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Never gone and said, oh yeah, this, that. Next year I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this advertising. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Now, in business it's MYOB, isn't it? Isn't that what you do with your business? And our business has got an accountant. We've got a lawyer, right? And we've got a business development manager. And our business has got a financial planner, and our business has got, and our business has got. But what about our business with Allah? What's it got? Be lucky to be a shack. When you go to poor countries, the Solomon Islands and these places, you go to the market, I swear when I went there, they're selling rotten fish. The fish is just stank. You're like, whoa, rotten. The eyes are rotting, but that's all they got to sell. Would you sell a rotten fish? You wouldn't, but that's like our dealing with Allah. It's our business with Allah. Don't worry. I'm praying, that's it, I've got my hijab, that's it, I'm eating halal, that's enough. Business. And what do you do for business? What do you do for your work? What do you do for the dollar that you earn? What time do you wake up in the morning to go to work? How is your life planned around the dollar that you get? How many hours a day do you think about the dollar that you earn? How you're going to dress, what you're going to say, studying, thinking about it. Well, I'm a lawyer, we have continuing legal education, we have to do 10 hours every year. All these things that we think about. Always reading the new updated legislation, updated laws, always talking to different people. I've got an issue, ring someone, oh, what's this new law, what do you think, email, whatever, in forums, in groups, on LinkedIn, on this, on that, on this, on that, on that. But what about our tijara with Allah, our business with Allah? It's like a, two-wheel tricycle. When A'udhu Billah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I've got profiles for myself on Insta and Snap, but where's my profile with Allah? I'm running a business here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I'll show you a business that's fruitful, that's got profit, that doesn't, tijaratun lan tabur. It will never finish. It'll never deteriorate, and you'll never lose. But where is it? How much do I spend Facebook advertising and other types of advertising, Google advertising for my business or the business that I'm involved in? All sorts of it. In the business I'm in, it's social work, I'm seeking grants, I'm increasing my knowledge, but what am I doing and my expertise in that? I've got a bachelor's in it, I've got a master's in it, yet what have I got in my tijara with Allah, in my business with Allah? There was one page ripped somewhere, or I wrote it one time on my laptop, and then it's a file that I put somewhere. I can't find it, by the way, because I haven't been looking for it. So I saved it in a folder that I saved somewhere. Then I changed computers, and I didn't, whatever, download it, reload it, unload it, overload it, right, into my new computer. But I remember that time I typed it, or I had the note, or I wrote it in my notebook, which no one does as much anymore. And where is that notebook? That's my dealing with Allah. That's my business with Allah. And then I want what? Oh, come on, Ya Allah, where's my levels? How come I'm not up there with the prophets and the martyrs and the truthful ones? It's not going to happen. All right? And what did he say? He says, أزيد أو أزيد في رزقك وأكفر عن ذنبك. The money you're giving, the good deeds you're doing, it's for you. It goes to your account. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I'll increase in your sustenance. So he's a real person that knows how to deal with Allah. Rather than saying, oh, I'm going to get a new job and my job's in, what's that, Paddington. I have to travel an hour and a half every day. Like seriously. Oh, I didn't want to get serious, but I'm getting serious. That's it. Seriously, how people sit in traffic every single day, and it's normal. Like I've done it a few times, and it does my head in. It's crazy. Like it's not normal. They sit in traffic every single day, 1 hour, 1 hour and a half to go to their job. People got to live. I'm not criticizing the work, and nor am I criticizing, but it's like that's what we're doing. Or we're going cramming. Have you ever caught the train at peak hour? One time we caught the train at peak hour in Bombay in India. Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy. There were so many people packed in, and I don't know if you've ever seen the people that the guards come and push everyone in. But it's not like Japan where the doors close. There's no doors. There's no doors. And people just fall, all the time. Like the guy who went with, he goes, man, get to the middle and hold on to that thing. Alhamdulillah, I was tall, so people were like, they're up to my armpits, so I can pull my arms up. But thousands of people die every month on the train. Where are they going? Where are they going? They're going to work. So what I'm saying to you is, measure that effort and sacrifice and, putting our lives on the line for the tijara, the business we have to eat and live, in comparison to what we're prepared to do, right? For the tijara we have with Allah, for the business we have. That's what I'm saying to you. Compare it. Compare it. And in business, right? If I've been working for somewhere for 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, and I'm not getting a promotion, what do I do? What do I do? Hey, these people, I'm going somewhere else where there's more cashish, there's more money, right? Where there's more manito. Because why? Because I've been putting the effort in for however long, right? I'm not getting rewarded. What about my business with Allah? What about my business? If I'm not going up the levels, that's why we need the spiritual goals. And what am I doing? I've got to check. I've got to stock take, right? I've got to get the experts in, get the accountant in, get the internet dude in, right? I don't even know what they're called. So the internet dude comes and he fixes things, right? And he does whatever he does. Make sure you get more hits on whatever and whatever else. And get the lawyer in, say, what can I do? How can I restructure? Get the accountant in, how can I make more money? Get the financial advisor in, I'm not making no money here. What's going on? Or I'm making the same money that I was making last year, or the year before, or the year before. It's drastic. $100 million companies get sold because their profit even they're making $10 million profit, they get sold because their profit isn't increasing. They're not losing money. They're not what do you call it, insolvent. They're making $10 million profit, but last year they made 10 million and the year before they made 10 million, so the shareholders don't want it. We want more. We want more. But with Allah, I'm praying 5 times a day. I've got my hijab on. I'm eating halal. I'm wearing shorts below my knees. I've got a beard. It's enough. So we can go back to not being serious now. And it's for you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will yukaffir an dambika. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remit one's sins. Take away a person's sins. He says, Ya Dawood, غَدْ طَرَفَكَ وَصُنْ لِسَانَكَ فَإِنِّي لَا أُحِبُّ الْفَاسِقِينَ. He says, O David, lower your eyes and hold your tongue, for I do not like the corrupt. And he says, وَأَكْثِرْ مِنَ الْإِسْتِغْفَارِ لِنَفْسِكَ وَلِلْخَاطِئِينَ. So look, so he ties it up. What's birr? Right? Birr is 2 things. The birr is 2 things. To increase and do as many righteous khairat, good deeds as possible, and to stay away from all the negative things, the sayyat. He only mentions 2 things. Right? Allah Azza wa Jal, when he's talking to Sayyidina Dawood, alayhi salam, he only mentions 2 things. What are they? Watch what you do with your eyes. Because they are saham masmoon min sahmi shaitan. They're 2 poison arrows. You know Cupid? He's real. He's real. He's a jinn. Works for shaitan. He's got a wazifa. He's got a... What's a wazifa? No, it's more than a job. Vocation. He's got a duty. He's got a duty. He's got a vocation. What's his vocation? When you look, hits you with the arrow. It's real. It's not a thing that happens on the 12th of July or February or wherever it is. Right? It's not just that. It's not just that. It's real. And then what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say in the Quran? وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا. Do not even approach zina. That means here. Like this lady asked me the other time, my husband, he's got an emotional attachment to another woman. I'm like, yeah. She goes, I asked some people, they said it's not haram. What are you talking about? You can't have an emotional attachment to anything but your spouse. Even if it's a rock. It's haram. That's how special the relationship between husband and wife is. You're not allowed to have an emotional, intimate, so to speak, sexual, if you want to be more explicit, relationship with anyone or anything even. Not even inanimate objects, except one's spouse. Full stop. At all. There's no room in that. So choose wisely who your spouse is going to be. Don't just go pick any old geek off the street. Find someone who's proper. Find someone, I know we're in a hurry if we're single. I was single and I was in a hurry. All of us are like that, it's normal. But make the decision that you're going to, spend the rest of your life with that person. You're going to be able to fulfill your needs, inshallah. Wants are different things, but your needs. And being patient is always better. Persevering in what you're doing to find the person that, makes you fulfills your needs is much, much better. But what? Don't even let your eyes wander. And that means, that's the killer. The swiping is the killer. Because things come on there, you're like, whoa. Right? Really bad stuff that you never intended to happen. It's always what gets us. It's curiosity. Oh, that's a bit interesting. What's that? And what it is Jahannam, really. It's a coal from the fire of Jahannam. Right? This is the trick. This is the trick. When we're going to explain Allah, Ya Allah, I didn't mean it. Yeah, right, you didn't mean it the first 5 seconds of the video. And then what about the other however long it goes for? Meshul. Or are you interested? You looked and said, no, it's not appropriate for me. Why? Because where's the business? Right? In my business, we have what's called solicitor's rules. You have to keep the best interests of the client or the interests of the client above your own interests. As soon as you breach that, it's either unsatisfactory professional conduct or professional misconduct. And they strike you off. They say, no, you can't have a license to be a solicitor anymore. And I'm sure it's the same in all your professions. If you're a director of a company, you've got duties. You've got to act in the best interest of the company rather than your own best interest. So what about in the tijara with Allah? Well, of course we've got those guidelines. And what's the other one? The tongue. As the Prophet is in the hadith, he grabbed his tongue, alayhi salatu wasalam. That's what's going to take us to Jahannam. Why? Because we're blabbing. Blah, blah. Like some people, they know everything about everyone. Everything about everyone. It's impossible. So stay away from those people. I've got to warn you. You need to, even if it's your brother, even if it's your sister, even if it's your uncle, even if it's your auntie, shame if it's your spouse because you're going to have issues. But that's one of the things you need to be testing your spouse on at the beginning. It's a test. That's why we don't give husn al-dhan. That's why we don't give the spouse the benefit of the doubt when they first come. You've got to test them. Throw a couple of bit of bait out there to see what's going to happen if they're going to take the bait or not. People start blabbing and their tongues just blab. Stay away from those people because you're going to end up being the same. And even if you're not, you're going to listen, and listening is the same as doing when it comes to riba, backbiting, lying. Remember, afat al-lisan, the vices of the tongue? Those two things. And what do you say? Allah doesn't like those people. Right? Did you say? Al-fasiqeen. That's the essence of fisq. Alright? So we said al-fajir is what? And al-fasiq is what?
Fasiq is the one that does it behind, privately, and the fajr is publicly.
MashaAllah. I'll give you 2 thumbs up. Right? So the fasiq is the one who does haram, okay? And it's munafiq. In this sense, the meaning of it is nifaq. So if it's khiyana, treachery, right? To be treacherous, to backstab if you like, to go around looking and talking. Because one leads to zina, guaranteed. That's what do you think the major dissatisfaction of, and people asking what the cause of divorces are and all that? Everything's open. Everything's open. People are seeing this, and this person's got better fingers, and this person's got better eyebrows than my wife or my husband. This person's ears are better. This person smells better. This person walks nicer. This person talks better. This person. That's that dissatisfaction. When a person goes home, they look at their spouse, they think, I could do better than this. Isn't that what we all think about everything in our lives? We have a car, there's nothing wrong with it. We trade it, we get another one. We've got a phone, it works perfectly. And we just think, nah. The new one's come out now, hasn't it? Extra large, isn't it? That's what they should have called the XL. Extra large, it's like this phone, you drag it around behind you or something, right? So it's come out, now everyone wants it. Oh, it's got my X last year, but now I want an XL.
XS.
Whatever. Whatever.
XS.
Hey, yeah. right? So it's XL now, because the other one was X, and this is L. They should have called it XL. They should have given me the job and given me the money. I would have come to the bottom of one, right? So XL, it's larger. I don't know if it does anything different. Probably not, right? Just a little minor. But we want it. Like researching it, and why? And that the same with our spouses. It's a throwaway society. When was the last time you threw out a piece of clothing? And I don't want you to answer. I just want you to think for it yourself. That was actually worn out. If you grew out of it, that's all right. But when was the last time you threw out a piece of clothing because it was worn out? Long time ago. Doesn't happen anymore. Even shoes. We don't even throw away. When we were young, we used to go through our shoes till they had holes in them. And then the mum was like, no, you can look at the shoes. No, you can still get a couple more weeks out of them and keep going. Now, no way. And we didn't get like Adidas and Nike and whatever. We had like from, so I don't even know what they were called. They had Velcro, they were so crappy. And, we were kids, we were running all the way, all time, all day, at school, at home, same shoes, all the time, in the wet, in the dry, no matter what the circumstances was. But now, we've got 10 pairs of shoes, 15 pairs of shoes, and we're not even happy. And we're still looking for more. Our eyes are looking all the time. So if we live in a society like that, we're not careful where we look at. We're going to want to throw our husbands and our wives as well. And Allahu Alam, that's one of the major causes. Allah knows better. It's one of the major causes. What for? Just get a new one. Don't worry, I'll get another one. Now I can just thingo on the whatchamacallit and just find someone in, New Caledonia, or Brunei, or Bolivia, or Greenland, or somewhere where I don't have to go there. I can just tick, 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 and click, 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 and that's it. And I can talk to them for free as well. When we used to call international before, it was like $4.50 a minute to call international. And if we had to call Lebanon, we had to call the central, like the phone exchange, because people didn't have phones. They're like, I want to speak to my dad. My dad went to Lebanon. And then hang up, ring back 20 minutes later, because someone's got to go from the central exchange to the house to get the guy, my dad, to bring him to the thing, and be like, hello, and you hear your own voice echoing like 20 times, and you pay $4.50 a minute. $4.50 a minute. And you speak for a couple of minutes, and $45, if you went to Woolies or whatever, the Franklin's was what it was, my mum used to go, fill up a whole trolley for $30. So $45, 10-minute phone call, you can't hear anything, costs $45. And petrol was 28 cents a litre back then. Right? So, and I'm not talking ancient history, it's pretty old, but not that old, it's only like 30 years. So, we take these things for granted, and we live in a throwaway society. We didn't used to throw anything away back in the day. Even fruit, my dad used to cut the rotten bits out and he used to eat it. It's like, We're like, nah, it's not We're like, nah, it is It is We're like, nah, it's not, Dad. And he used to eat it because they didn't have any other option. But today all we have is options. And unfortunately, when you give an individual who isn't running straight with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and isn't on that path an option, they'll always choose the wrong option. So that's why things were in the days, if we said, there was a simpler life, but people were happier because they didn't have a million options. They didn't have all these things going around that, you can look at it and research it and do all these things to get to it and whatever else it might have been. So we have to realize that keeping our eyes protected and talking about useless things in particular, I know we do a lot of riba as well, like backbiting, but the other thing, people talk about useless things. Things that, what is it? من حسن الإسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعنيه. From the perfection of from the perfection of an individual's faith is to leave that which does not concern one. And that's what people are talking about all the time. Talking about stuff that they can't do anything about, they can't change it, it doesn't help them to talk about it, generally it only makes them more frustrated. What for? Talk about something beneficial. And I'll challenge you. It's very hard to talk about things that are beneficial. It's extremely difficult to talk about the fada'il, the virtues of prayer, or what's in Jannah, right? Or describe the Prophet of Allah how he was then or here or now, or the pious people. It's hard. It's very, very hard. Even around the scholars and the sheikhs, a lot of the time they don't talk about that stuff. Educated people. So what about someone who isn't that educated in that field? Try it out for the next week. So 2 things, set your spiritual goals and try and see how hard it is to talk about positive things that are beneficial for one. Sallallahu alayhi wa Muhammadin wa alihi wa sallam. Are there any questions about any of those things or anything else? Fadl.
Is boxing haram?
Yeah, boxing is haram. You can't punch anyone in the face. That's the issue. So I know we all love Khabib. We all love him. And he's a top bloke and all that. But why do you think we're in the situation where someone like, he's a good Muslim from what I understand. He went to Hajj and his father and his grandfather, they're all good Muslims and all that, which is a ni'mah. But why do you think we act the way we do around those sorts of things? Why do you think all of a sudden he's become a hero for us? We haven't got heroes, right? Our hero isn't Imam Shafi'i or Abu Ubaidah al-Jarrah or Habib Kadhim or someone. We don't have heroes. So anyone that comes along, they become our hero, right? And he may be top Muslim, alhamdulillah. And we always try and take the good things out of it. But even in a battle, the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, even in a battle, it's haram to hit someone in the face. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, لَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has graced Bani Adam. And the face, you're not supposed to hit, where is it? Al-Banan. It's supposed to hit in the neck, on the arms. Right? So unfortunately, misfortunately, now wrestling is halal. The differentiation is this in terms of boxing, what's that thing called? MMA, UFC, whatever it is, right? And wrestling. And I mean Greco-Roman wrestling like they have in the Olympics. What's the point in boxing? What are you trying to do? What are the 2 people trying to do to each other? Knockout, right? You're trying to get the guy unconscious from a knockout. Haram. So that's haram. UFC, knock him out or choke him out or whatever. Haram. Wrestling. What's the point in wrestling? Right, wrestling is to hold the person's back on the mat for 3 seconds. There's no breaking faces. It's just to see who's got. So that's wrestling is halal. That's why wrestling is halal. So any sport. What about rugby league? Is it halal or not halal? I'm like, okay, because if you hit someone above the head, even above the neck, it's a penalty. NFL is the same sort of thing. Basketball, volleyball, swimming. As long as the awaras are covered, it's all good. So in our deen, unfortunately, there's no scope for it. They say if you want to spar, like train for boxing, and the point isn't, like the people that do the boxercise or whatever it's called, that's halal. But when a person goes, the point of the sport or the activity is to harm someone, knock them out, then it becomes haram. And it's haram to watch haram. So I know it's a bit unfortunate because it was a big deal. And so when you YouTube it or whatever, same thing. Even if it's Muhammad Ali, rahimahullah ta'ala.
Is conditioning the face halal, like punching your own face so that it becomes stronger or something?
I don't think it's going to become stronger. If they did research on NFL players and what is it, rugby, American football, and all these things. All those guys that copy, even in American football, the purpose about a few years ago, the best kind of tackle was if the defender got the helmet and rammed it into the chest of the attacker. And then all these guys are having head injuries, and so now you're not allowed to hit anyone in the head, even though they've got helmets. And same in the NRL, if someone accidentally cops a hit in the head, they have the head injury assessment, and they do all these protocols, because getting hit in the head's no good. Has anyone ever been knocked out? It's not nice. If you get knocked out, it's not nice. You forget. Like one time I was playing football and someone kneed me in the head, I got knocked out. And I couldn't remember if I drove to the game, I couldn't remember what day of the week it was. I was just very, very disorientated. The next day I was not feeling very well, I was sick. And I couldn't eat for 2 or 3 days because my brain, whatever, there's some sort of a trauma injury, it was probably a concussion, I don't know what it was. But it's not a pleasant thing. So staying away from the face is always a good thing. Hitting yourself in the face, I don't recommend it. And
what about hitting somebody in the face in self-defense?
Even the Prophet said, even in self-defense, the hadith says, it should be avoided. Now, sometimes it's the easiest way to defend yourself, but really it should be avoided at all costs. Even if it's in, like I said, in warfare, in qital, that should be avoided but sometimes it's the easiest way to do things, depending on the situation.
So what about watching like soccer and rugby, like the elders are showing? Are you still?
The awra and the Malikis, they've got the ruling about the Maliki. They've got the awra al-mughallada and awra al-mukhaffafa. Because Sayyidina Uthman al-Mardanu, he had half his thigh exposed, and then the Prophet of Allah ﷺ, he was there, but then when the angels came in with the Prophet ﷺ, he covered his legs. So that's what the Malikis have that ruling. But it's, most soccers, they're long anyway. Watch basketball, they wear the long shorts. And again, what is it? Lahu wa la'ib. It's entertainment or just playing around. So that's what you got to take it on that. All right, we don't like to hear it and it's not nice, but that's the reality. That's the reality of what it is. Now, any other questions about those things? Tafadhal.
Will we be restricted not to pray behind, like, for example, you're at uni and like you've heard this person is in a different sect, like you're not allowed to pray behind him, or how does it work?
All right, so that's a good question about praying behind the imam and knowing who the imam is. So the mubtadi'een, those people that do bid'ah, it's makruh to pray behind them in the madhab of Imam Shafi'i. But there's a Prophet of Allah, a Prophet of the Hadith, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says that sallu khalfa kulli barrin wa fajr or fajr. So that you can pray behind anyone, because who was Abdullah bin Umar, Allah mardan, who is Sahabi Jaleel, like one of the top Sahabis. He prayed behind Al-Hajjaj bin Yusuf, they call him the slaughterer, Safi, the slaughterer. And he prayed behind him. So it's always better if you can pray in Jama'ah. It's the times when we live in, It's the times. I remember I've been with plenty of the Habib that have got, and they don't pray behind certain people, but they've got kashf, they can see what's going on. Unless you got that, then just pray behind anyone. But those guys. But the thing you really have to watch out for is people who can recite the Fatiha correctly. A lot of people, like, it's hard to go to a mosque or a masjid, particularly on Jummah in those halls and that, and the imam reads the Fatiha correctly. It's very hard to find someone who reads the Fatiha correctly. Like with the Sad and with the Sin and these types of things, it's very difficult. Like, I'm talking like, 90% of them just can't read the Fatiha properly. So just look for that instead, rather than anything else, and leave the rest to Allah Azza wa Jal.
So other than that, like if you don't know, you just have to...
If you don't know, taqla Allah, that's good, It's the times in which we live in. Like the times, the Sahaba, when the fitna happened, they didn't even go and pray Jummah in the masjid. Because of the fitna was so great, the time when the Sahaba were killing each other, and Siffin and Jamal, the battles of Siffin and Jamal and these types of things. There's lots going on in our ummah that we don't really know about unless we read the history books and we get some idea about some of the crazy things that went on.
Well, what would be some good history books that you recommend for us to read?
I don't know in English. I don't know in Arabic. Ibn Athir is really good. Ibn Athir. It's long, but it's very, very good. It's actually pretty. History books, the Arabic isn't that hard to read. They're actually not too bad. So Ibn Athir, it's about 12 or 13 volumes, but it's pretty good.
It can be available online.
I'm not sure. Most things are these days. Most things are.
They upload a lot of Arabic stuff. A lot.
Yeah, there's a lot on there because they're not so strict about the copyright. No. Any other questions? Nope. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. You sure? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khayr al-anam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi sallam ya arhamar rahimin. بارك لنا فيما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا أرحم الراحمين. نسألك يا أكرم الأكرمين أن تفهمنا إياها كما فهمتها لسليمان. نسألك يا أرحم الراحمين أن تزدنا علما وأن تكرمنا بهذا العلم ونطبق هذا العلم في حياتنا يا أكرم الأكرمين، وتجعلنا من الذين يستمعون القول ويتبعون أحسن. نسألك يا أرحم الراحمين أن توفقنا لما هو خير لنا في الحياة وبعد الممات. ونسألك يا أرحم الراحمين أن تجعل هذا العلم علم لنا نقبضه في الحياة ونستمد به في الحياة يا أرحم الراحمين. ونسألك يا أرحم الراحمين أن لا تجعله فقط من لقلقة اللسان ولا سماع الأذان. ونسألك يا أرحم الراحمين أن تجعلنا من الذين يتقربون إليك بك والذين يقومون بحقوقك وحقوق نبيك عليه أفضل الصلاة وأزكى التسليم. Ya Allah, we ask you to make so those people that benefit from the knowledge which we've learned and implemented in their lives. We ask you to increase us in knowledge, Allah. We ask you to make us of those people that understand the knowledge in which they get and gather. And we ask you, Allah, to grant us the high stations and make us among your elect, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, we ask you to lift the trials and tribulations from the Ummah of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi Abdul Salatu Azkat Taslim. We ask you, Ya Rahman Rahimeen, to return them to their faith in the most beneficial and beautiful way. Ya Allah, we ask you to forgive us and forgive our sins and the sins of our forefathers and our mothers and our fathers and our brothers and our sisters and our neighbours and others in our community and our co-workers and our friends and our associates and all those that we come across and all those that we think of and all those that we know and all those that know us and those that we don't know also and that don't know us, Ya Arhamar Rahimeen. Ya Allah, we ask you to envelop us in your mercy and we ask you to grant us the highest of paradise, Ya Allah, without any accountability or any questioning, Ya Allah, without any punishment. Ya Allah, we ask you to make sure those people that are close to you and those people that follow the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam bi khairin wa lutfin wa afiyah wa la hadrat al-nabi bis-sin al-Fatiha.